If you're looking for a quick and easy blanket pattern, then look no further than my Happy Go Granny blanket. It comes in 6 sizes from car seat to twin bed, so if you want to make a specific size then be sure to check out the written pattern. So I'm going to be using some Aran weight yarn. You can use Aran or worsted weight yarn. This is Paint Box Yarns Simply Aran. It's 100% acrylic. I'm going to be using 4 contrast colours and 1 main colour, which is an off-white. You'll also need a 6mm crochet hook and some scissors and a darning needle for weaving in those ends. So we're starting with the cream yarn. You're going to put a slip knot on your hook and we're going to chain a multiple of 3 plus 1. So you're going to keep counting in threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Keep counting in threes until your chain is as wide as you want your blanket to be, and then add 1 extra stitch. I'm just going to make a small swatch today to show you how to make the blanket. Now if you want a specific size then you need to refer to the pattern to get the starting chains for each size. So we're going to start by putting a double crochet in the 4th chain from our hook. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll put a double crochet right in here. And then we're going to put 2 more double crochet into that same stitch. So that's 1 and 2. We're now going to skip the next 2 stitches. That's 1, 2, and then put 3 double crochet into the next stitch. This is known as a granny cluster or granny stitch. So that's 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, all into that same stitch. And we're going to do exactly the same again. Skip 2 and then a granny cluster into that next stitch. That's 1, 2, and 3. Now you're going to repeat this all the way across. So skip 2, granny cluster, skip 2, granny cluster. So you'll keep going until you get to your last 3 stitches. You'll then skip 2 and then put 2 double crochet into that last stitch. That's 1 and 2. Then go to chain 2 and turn. Now for this next row we're going to look at our stitches here. We've got 2 stitches here at the beginning and then we've got a space created here from in between the 2 clusters of stitches. So we're going to put a granny cluster in this space now. So we're going to put 3 double crochet into that space between the 2 clusters from the previous row. That's 2 and 3. We're then going to skip over all of these stitches and look for the next space and put another granny cluster in there. That's 1, 2, and 3, and we're just going to repeat this across. So we're almost at the end of the row here. We're going to put a granny cluster in this space here. And at the end here, we're going to skip over those 3 stitches and we're going to put a double crochet in this space here between this starting chain and this cluster of stitches here. So that's 1 double crochet in there. And then I'm going to finish with a half double crochet in the top of that chain 3. And then chain 2 and turn. Now for this next row you can see we've got 2 stitches here at the beginning and our first space is here. So we're going to put a granny cluster straight into that space. So that's 1, 2, 3 double crochet. And we're going to do the same into each space across. So I'm almost at the end of the row and we've got this last space here. So I'm going to put a double crochet into that space and then a half double crochet into the top of that chain 2 and then chain 2 and turn. So you're just going to repeat those last 2 rows over and over again until your blanket is as big as you want it to be. But we're going to be adding stripes to our blanket. So we're going to have 4 rows of the cream before we change colour. So I'm going to go ahead and work 1 more row and then I'll show you how to change colours. So I'm at the end of this 4th row and I'm going to finish by putting a double crochet into this space at the end and then a half double crochet into the top of that chain 2. Now before I finish off the stitch I need to change colour, so I'm going to just drop the cream, pick up the next colour that I'm going to use, which is the mustard, lay that over the hook and then pull that through to finish off that half double crochet. Now because we're going to be using this cream again after a couple of rows, we can just carry that up the side of our work. So we're going to start by chaining 2. I'm just going to lay the cream over the hook just so that it gets carried up to the same height as the next row. We're going to chain 1 and then 2, then turn, and then we're going to start this row by putting a granny cluster into that first space. And then in each space across. And at the end of the row I'm going to put my last double crochet into that space and then a half double crochet into the top of that chain 2. Chain 2 and turn. So I'm going to work another row in this mustard, starting with a granny cluster in this first space and in each space across, and then we're going to be changing back to the cream at the end of that row. So I'm at the end of the row, I'm going to put my last double crochet into that last space and then end with a half double crochet into the top of that chain 2, sorry, and I'm going to just do the first part of that stitch, then drop the mustard, then finish off that stitch with the cream and then chain 2 and turn. So the mustard we can now fasten off. We can just cut that yarn and sew that tail in later. So I'm now going to continue with 4 rows of the cream and then it'll be time to change colour again. So basically you're doing 4 rows of your main colour, 2 rows of a contrast colour, 4 rows the main colour, then move on to your next contrast colour, 2 rows of that, 4 rows of cream, and so on. And you'll want to end up with 4 final rows of cream when your blanket is as long as you want it to be, and then you'll be ready to add your border. I'm just going to add a few more rows of cream to my swatch and then I'll show you how to crochet the border. Okay, so once you've finished your blanket and you've ended up with your last 4 rows in your main colour, you can then fasten off. I'm going to do our border in a contrast colour, so you can pick any of the contrast colours that you've used for the blanket for your border. Just make sure that you have extra yarn for that particular colour. So I'm just going to carry on using the mustard for the purpose of this swatch. So we're going to start working our border in this top left hand corner of the blanket with the right side of the blanket facing you. So I'm just going to go into this last stitch, join in the border colour, and I'm just going to chain 1 and then I'm going to put a single crochet to that same place, chain 2 and another single crochet. So that's our corner. So all of the corners are going to be the same: single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We're now going to start working along the side of the blanket. So first chain 1 and then you can either work around the post of this double crochet or you can actually work into the stitch, whichever you prefer. Then chain 1 and a single crochet around the post of the next stitch, chain 1, single crochet around the post of the next stitch, chain 1, and you're going to continue doing this all the way down the side of your blanket. So I'm going to put a single crochet around the post of this last stitch and chain 1, and then now we're at the corner, so just into the bottom of this stitch here, this chain on the bottom, and put single crochet, chain 2 and a single crochet. We're now going to start working along the foundation edge of the blanket. So we'll start with the chain 1 and then we're going to put a single crochet in this bottom chain, chain 1, then a single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, single crochet in this bottom chain, chain 1, single crochet in the next space, and we're just going to repeat that all the way across the bottom of your blanket. You're going to end with single crochet in that last chain space, chain 1, and then you're going to work your corner. So get right into that corner stitch. With single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And then we're going to do the side exactly the same way as we did this side. So you start with the chain 1, go around the post of this first stitch just with a single crochet, chain 1, around the next stitch with a single crochet, chain 1, and just repeat this all the way across. And again, when we reach that corner, chain 1 into that corner stitch, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We're now going to be working across the top of the blanket. So we'll start with a chain 1, and then we're going to put a single crochet into the middle stitch of this first granny cluster, chain 1, this time go into the space, chain 1 into the middle stitch with a single crochet, chain 1, then into that space, and you're going to repeat this all the way across. And you're going to end with a chain 1 into that last space, chain 1, and then join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch. Now we're actually going to flip our crochet over and start working from the other side. This is going to keep your corners really nice and neat. So this is our, if you can see here, this is the first space we've got here. So we're going to put single crochet into that space, like so, chain 1. Now we're looking for the chain spaces from the previous row. So here's our first space. So we'll put a single crochet in there, chain 1, single crochet in that next space, chain 1, and in the next space single crochet, chain 1, and you're going to repeat this all the way across. So we're just coming up to this first corner here. So we've got a single crochet in this last space, chain 1, then into the corner space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then across this side we're just going to do the same, chain 1, look for that first space, put a single crochet in there, chain 1, single crochet in the next space, and you can repeat this all the way across, and each time you get to a corner it's single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. I've just worked into that last corner with a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, then I've got a chain 1, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet, and then we're going to turn again. Now this time you end up on the other side of the corner, so we're going to start off with a single crochet in this space here, chain 1, and then going straight into a corner, so that's single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, then we'll chain 1 and continue across and around the blanket just like we did in the previous round. So I'm coming up to the end of the round and putting up single crochet in that last space, chain 1, and then joining to the top of this first single crochet. Now these last two rows, the last two rounds, you can repeat those as many times as you want till your border is as wide as you want it to be. I recommend you finish on a right side round though, so I'm going to add one more round for a total of 4 rounds. And once you finish you can fasten off and weave in your ends, and then you can block your blanket. And when it's finished you'll end up with something like this. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, why not check out my blanket playlist right here on YouTube. Bye bye now.